Since the Sandbox fans, we are back continuing our schedule predictions. We just gave you the AFC North. We gave you our division winner. We broke down everyone's schedule, talked about the most important topics for each of those teams. Now it's time to go over to the NFC. These are two of the most competitive divisions in the entire NFL. Any of these teams can realistically end up on top. You know, injuries really play a huge role in all this. Each of these division opponents can beat each other at any point in time of the season. Twan, I'm excited to get into it, but I'm also really not excited to hear your Bears takes right now. So
you won't hate it too much.
Bears.
But let's get right into it with the Bears. Steve, week 1, they're going to get a win against the Titans.
Yep.
I do think they're going to come out hot, and I think they're going to win. We've been hearing a lot of noise about Caleb Williams.
Yep.
A lot of bad stuff. I don't know how much I fucking believe when I read shit on Twitter anymore, man.
What? Like the training camp stuff about him throwing like the interceptions and shit like that?
I mean, yeah. So I mean, that's with your eyes. If someone's lying about that in a report, then they need to not only be fired, but they need to go to prison.
Yeah.
So, but I just think there's a lot of factors that are going to go into it. Is people are saying like he's not good in the pocket, he can only roll out. I'm like, who are these guys fucking really analyzing them? Because these are just a bunch of dudes. Again, are we getting another ESPN expert that said Madden 6, Madden 5s? Like, I don't know.
Oh my God.
What we're
please
fucking
don't get
seeing.
me going.
Dude, I don't know what we're seeing from these guys, but I think it's a little bit of an overreaction. We also got to look at the fact that the Bears have a nasty secondary. Caleb Williams is going up against Jalen Johnson, and he's going up against Jaquan Brisker and all these guys like the whole time. So we got to keep that in mind. The Bears defense is no joke. He's got sweat running at him. He probably hasn't seen anything like that in the NFL in college.
Legit.
But to bring things down to earth, I got them dropping 3 in a row. Texans at Houston. They're losing to the Colts in Indy, and they are going to lose to the Rams at home.
Yeah.
Before we get to the bye week, Steve, they're going to rip off 2 wins in a row, though. They're going to beat the Panthers, and they're going to beat the Jags. Both those games are at home. Now, the Jags game is at home. It's in London. So I do have them going 3-3 to start, Steve. Bears are damn happy with a 3-3 start, but it may not be as easy going down the rest of the year.
And the more that we have this conversation about week 1 and everyone just chalking it up for the Bears, the more I actually feel like the Titans are going to win that fucking game, honestly. Like, I want to go put $100 right now on the Titans to win that game.
I'm not betting on it.
No. No, but I have them winning the same game, and I have them dropping the same game. So, like, that's just kind of how I feel. Like, if that's the public opinion, that's why, like, I'd want to, like, go opposite with that stuff. And I have them beating the Panthers and then losing versus the Jags. Like, it's no surprise. I think that there's a lot of obstacles to overcome being a new quarterback for the Chicago Bears organization. Yeah, they have talent. This might be the best roster and personnel that they've had in a long time, but there's still coaching questions and there's still a culture question. They don't know where their future stadium's going to be. You know, you have a new energy like around the building and everything like that, but what's to say that Caleb Williams isn't going to be like any of these other number 1 overall picks that just weren't it? Like, Trey Lance was supposed to be this crazy dude in the NFL. He was supposed to have this big arm, the running ability, the same traits that Caleb Williams has. What happened? We just saw Trevor Lawrence got the bag. Like, congratulations to him for getting paid. Like, that's obviously the goal, was getting a second contract and making sure that, you know, you're set up for generational wealth and everything like that. But I wouldn't have paid him $55 million. Nope. And I don't think if you told me that you were drafting him with the number 1 overall pick and I got to see the next 6 years and this was it, I wouldn't have said that was worth it. I would have just picked the next best available player that wasn't a quarterback.
Totally agree.
So I just feel like, you know, we need to be a little bit patient on that front, but through this set of games, like, they can even steal some of these. Like, they could potentially upset a Texans or a Colts. Like, I just don't see them being disciplined enough to beat the Rams or anything like that. But going into the bye week after that, I have them getting a win versus the Patriots week 10, but I had them losing 2 before that. I think Washington's going to be a better team than them, and I think the Cardinals are going to be a better team than them, if you want me to be honest. I don't have them getting a win again until week 14, so that's losing to the Packers, to the Vikings, to the Lions, and the 49ers.
Steve, I also have them taking an L to the Pats. The Pats got to win one fucking game. Yeah. But I do have them beating the Commanders, losing to the Cardinals, losing to the Packers, beating the Vikings, but also losing to the Lions and the Niners. So that brings us through the end of week 14, Steve. It's not looking too good for the Bears at this point.
No, they have 4 wins for me up into the 49ers game.
And I was a little high on them, but then you look at the schedule and it's like, dude, I actually don't know that they're going to beat some of these teams. It's like, this is a tricky schedule.
This is not going to be a 7-win football team unless Caleb Williams is going to throw for 4,500 yards year one.
That's what, and
there hasn't been a Chicago Bear quarterback to do that has thrown more than 3,600 yards in year one.
Mm-hmm. There hasn't, and he may not. I do think there are other pieces on that offense that can help. I do think he is the best receiver core of any Bears team, maybe in history, on paper. But rounding that out, Steve, I do have them dropping the game at Minnesota after the Niners, but I have them winning 2 in a row. I do have them stealing one against, and I know it's crazy because I fucking love the Lions that much, but they're going to beat the Lions when they're at home.
Okay.
They're also going to beat the Seahawks in a bullshit game. This is going to be an ugly 19-16 game.
Raining.
Cody Parkey's running off the field and the double doinks going in. And somehow they're going to win that game, but they will lose to the Packers to finish it out. Steve, I have them exactly at 7 wins, 7-10. This is a really good season for the Chicago Bears if they can get to 7-10 if I'm looking at it.
No, it is. It's a step in the right direction.
Step in the right direction, 100%.
And I just think that's what the expectation should be. It shouldn't be, oh my God, they got Caleb Williams, Romo, Dunze, Keenan now, and DJ Moore.
That's the Caleb Williams hand.
Yeah, right? The yards galore, touchdowns. Do you like my nails? That might be a little sus.
Zesty working at Caleb Williams. How do you have them finishing?
So I actually have them beating the 49ers week 14.
So there's the upset win.
That's the upset win. Like, I just think, when you look at the 49ers and it's like, oh, they're going to win another 13 games. I just don't think that that's the case.
Dude, I'm right there with you.
So I feel like they're going to drop some of these games. Like, I really do. But, for a team that's developing, when you talk about, like, the Bears, you talk about, like, the Patriots, teams that aren't in it for this year. Like, it's the long haul is what is being viewed at right now. They're going to go on a 3-game win streak. And beating the 49ers, the Vikings, and the Lions 3 games in a row, I feel like those are pretty impressive games. With a team that just came from the Super Bowl and 2 division opponents, if you kind of see this on the back end of the year and maybe, one of the 2 games in the last 2 weeks of the season go a little bit differently, you're optimistic going into the next year. And that's how the season should end for Chicago. Right. And that's what would change the narrative, right? We've seen Justin Fields do the exact same thing for the exact same organization, and everything just not turn the way it was supposed to the next year. But after winning those 3 games, they have them losing versus the Seahawks, have them losing versus the Packers. Not too many wins for Chicago. I have this being 6-11. They could put up the fantasy numbers because they're going to be trailing. They're going to try and get some things offensively to scheme correctly. I don't think that their ground game is going to be as strong and sound as everybody makes it to be. I think their defense is going to be better. Like, I don't think they're going to be letting 30, 40 points up a game, but I still think it's going to be hard for them to prevent 24 points a game. I just feel like that they're going to be like right around that middle of the pack type of defense. But that's a step in the right direction. Like I said, like, these are all positive steps, and I think Ryan Pohl's plan isn't to make this all work in 1 year. That's what the expectations are, but that's set by fans. That's not set by, the organization or anything like that.
And I actually think Ryan Poles is pretty good at his job, if I'm being real.
Through this offseason, we've seen that.
I just don't know about the actual coaching itself.
Yeah.
That's where I'm running into issues. So we'll see how Eberflus ends up working it out. But if they have a turner, if they're like, we don't want Eberflus anymore, dude, are we in the same cycle again where it's like new quarterback,
that's what it is.
New quarterback, new coach? Like, dial it in, reel it the fuck in. If you want, keep Eberflus in the organization, just move him to DC and bring in a new head coach if that's what you want to do. Like, you got to come up with other ways to keep people in the organization or the whole thing's going to fall apart.
Absolutely. You got to have homegrown talent. I feel like they kind of started that transition this year with making sure that Jalen Johnson got paid.
Right.
And, adding to, the offensive line and everything like that, I feel like is only going to help make them a little bit more sound going forward. But we're going to go over to the Vikings. I don't have them having a much better year than the Bears. Yep. I actually think that the 2 games that they compete against each other might be 2 of their more competitive games of the entire season. Very similar scenarios. Like, you could say that the Vikings have just as much as offensive firepower as the Bears do, and you might say that they might be in a better organizational scenario than the Chicago Bears are. Obviously defensively, Minnesota lost some pieces, but you can also say that, like, they sneakily had, like, some of the better, like, first-round moves. Like, you could say that they had a better first-round move than Chicago with the 2 first-round picks that they got for the value that they got. And I feel like that's obviously, the important part of it. But I have the Vikings dropping the first 2, the Giants and the 49ers. I think the Giants are going to have to come out week 1 and show that they have to be a little bit different. And I think that this is going to be a really close game. I think the Vikings are going to remember that, like, hey, this is a team that knocked us out like a couple years ago. I just don't know, even if it's Sam Darnold or JJ, if they'd be able to, like, pick apart that defense. Like, that's a really good defense. And I think it's easier for defense to come together in an offseason than an offense will. There's less terminology. If you're a guy that has your hand in the ground, the only thing you're worrying about is going up. Like, you know what I mean? And as far as corners go, like, I know it's not the same cornerback room that we had last year, but I actually feel like we can improve with the young experience that we kind of got last year. So 0-2 to start, but actually winning 2 games straight right after that, beating the Texans, beating the Packers. Crazy.
Those are crazy big games.
Crazy big games. And I don't know who the quarterback is going to be at this point. Like, I really don't. I actually think that it'll be a smooth switch from Darnold to JJ whenever it does happen. I am expecting it to happen this year. I just don't think that they're going to scheme these quarterbacks up drastically differently from running this offense. And when you have the best wide receiver in the league, how hard is it to be, successful at that, So I feel like that's something to keep in mind.
Too. I don't think number 2 is really that close to JJ.
What do you mean,
think
the number
JJ's
2 wide receiver?
Best wide receiver in the league. I actually don't think 2's that close.
You don't think CD's that close?
I would give CD the 2, and a lot of people are going to say, dude, Tyreek Hill. I'm like, dude, you take away his speed, he is not Tyreek Hill. I'm like, that's a part of what he is.
Yeah.
I get it. But, dude, like, CD's as close as it's going to get, but I don't think it's that close. I think there's actually a whole nother tier. Like, CD's an A tier. He's an A+. But S tier is Justin Jefferson. He is the ideal wide receiver in any scenario.
Chase, like you're saying the same thing. Chase is in that.
He's as close.
Yeah,
I just don't think he's that
interesting. And I would love to hear like what you guys think about that. Like, is JJ like in a tier of his own? I think like when you like count in, how they round out that offense, Addison and Hawk. Like now adding Aaron Jones. That's a deep offense.
Deep offense. And dude, let's talk about JJ. 7.5, 8 games?
Yeah.
He had over 1,000 yards last year.
Yeah.
Dude. Are you kidding me? With who?
Yeah.
Like Kirk for 4 games, and who played the end of the season for him? It was
Mullins.
Jaren Hall.
Yeah, it was a mix of like so many different guys, and like we can't forget we had the astronaut have a little bit of a run there.
JJ was out for his run, unfortunately.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting. But after that, I have them losing versus the Jets. That's an international game. And going into the bye, 2-3 isn't ideal. But knowing that you beat the Texans and the Packers, like, you definitely have some shit to, like, bang your chest and be like, hey, like, the next set of games, like, we can do this, So I feel like that's something to keep in mind. Just taking us to week 8. I have a loss versus the Lions right after the bye and a loss versus the Rams on Thursday Night Football. Just feel like those are the teams that, like, they're really going to show you, like, hey, like, you're not in our conversation.
So we got a little bit different here, Steve. Going through week 8, I have them at 3-4 because there's a bye week in there. I have them beating the Giants, sadly. I think it's going to be a close, competitive game, but I just think that the skill on the offense is going to edge it out. I have them dropping 4 in a row to the bye week, though. I have them losing all 4 of those games, Niners, Texans. I think the Niners are going to be the game they're closest with. I think the Texans blow them out. I think the Packers are going to blow them out.
I think they'll be close with the Jets, honestly.
I think the Jets, it could be. It's a London game, so I can see that being a weird one. But I do think ultimately they drop that. They go into the bye. They get a W against the Lions at home.
Wow.
And they get a W against the Rams. It's going to be a Kevin O'Connell, Sean McVay. It's going to be really interesting and fun to see how it goes.
Yeah,
but it's going to be one of those, like, student finally beat the teacher at something.
Okay, I love that. And coming into week 9, I actually have the Vikings getting a win versus the Colts. Like, I feel like this is going to be a competitive game between these two teams. And I feel like, this game, if it's in Indy, might be a different story. Where this is in Minnesota, I know it's a dome, so like it's not like there's weather implications or anything like that, but it gets loud in Minnesota.
It gets real loud.
Yeah, so I feel like, it's go. So I feel like that's something to keep in mind. Loss versus the Jaguars in week 10, then getting 3 straight. So a win versus the Titans, a win versus the Bears, a win versus the Cardinals. I think those are all really tough games. Really close, really tough, not high scoring. But, your best players come out to perform, and I feel like when you look at the offensive side of the ball, they do have 3 of the better players. And at this point in time, defensively, like they should have their young guys coming in and getting a little bit more settled and putting a lot more pressure on that quarterback. After that, have them losing the rest of the games of the season, though. Loss versus the Falcons, the Bears, the Seahawks, the Packers, the Lions. I think early in this
tough stretch of 5 games.
Yeah, no, it is. And I think early in the season when like the division games are coming up, it might not be valued as much by like the opponent. But in the back end of the year, especially after a loss, they're gonna be like, oh, like this not happening twice in a row. So I actually had the division record for the Vikings being 2-4, finishing with a 6-11 record. The same exact record as the Bears, the same exact division record. I just honestly think that the Lions and the Packers are drastically better than both of these teams.
We agree completely. I have them not finishing the year too strong as well. I got them losing to the Colts, but beating the Jags and Titans, losing at the Bears, losing to the Cardinals. I sneaky like the Cardinals right now this year. Not a playoff team yet, but like 7-8 wins, I could see them getting there. Now, I have them actually beating Falcons in the Kirk revenge game. I just think Kirk's going to somehow choke that game. Beating the Bears.
Is Penix going to be in by then?
No. All of year one is going to go to Kirk. They're not going to. They can't sub him out that. They paid him so much fucking money. They can't get rid of him in year one. But then they dropped the last 3: Seahawks, Packers, Lions, finishing 7-10, tying with the Bears, and going 2-4 in the division.
Wow, 7-10.
Yeah,
both
very
those
close.
teams. That means you got to take away a win from the Lions and the Packers a little bit here. So let's see.
Actually, apparently, I don't take any away from the Packers for that.
No? Oh, wow. Packers going undefeated for Twan.
I know.
All right, I'm going to hop in with the Packers before Twan rounds us out with the Lions. I have the Packers winning this division. I do.
Me too.
I think that they have the best record. I think that they have the most to build off of last year. That's not to like supersede like what happens in anything like that or take anything away from the Lions, because I think I have these two teams separated by 1 win. Like in that difference could be a division game like that, so interesting to see the way it shakes out. I actually think week 1's a really tough game for the Packers, going to Brazil, playing on a Friday versus the Eagles. You already heard the owner kind of give them excuses. Oh, our airport's not big enough. We got to fly to Milwaukee. We got to drive to Milwaukee, go do this to get to Brazil, all this stuff. I just think it's kind of going to be like, hey, like we might have been talked about like this team throughout the entire offseason, but we're not there yet. Like, let's fucking rev it up. And I think that's what the case will be. Lost week 1, win 2 straight versus the Colts, versus the Titans. You guys heard me drop that game for the Packers to the Vikings. So 2-2 to start the year for the Packers. After that, winning 2 in a row. LaFleur's going to actually beat McVay versus the Rams. That's a win. They're going to beat the Cardinals. Lose a tough game to the Texans. Look, this is through the offseason. This was the conversation, was like, going forward, what team would you really want? You want CJ Stroud, the Texans. You want Green Bay and the Packers. I think when considering coaching, that's what kind of puts the Packers in a higher category for me than the Texans. And my power rankings at the moment kind of reflected that. That's not to take anything away from what the Texans are doing. I just dislike a little bit more the fact that CJ Stroud's really talking. And I know he had the play that backed it up. But I actually watched JJ Watt on the McAfee show, and he says the same thing. He's like, hey, young one, like if you're going to come in, you're going to back it up. Talk all the shit you want. But like he's talking like they won 14 games last year. They didn't win 14 games. And I know that they got better. They got drastically better. Don't get me wrong. And another year in experience is just going to be, only help them out all the more. But I think the Texans can be a 10-win football team and still be an improved football team. I think the Packers have the personnel and made the free agency offseason moves, additions, subtractions, whatever they needed to be a drastically better football team and potentially the top in the NFC. And I think that there was a statement in literally 3 minutes of that 49ers game was the difference of them not going to a fucking Super Bowl. They haven't done that with Aaron Rodgers since what? 13, 14 maybe?
Yep.
Since that time. So we're talking about a good team. Like they're not far away. Loss versus the Texans though for the Packers. Win versus the Jags. Loss versus the Lions. That takes them to the bye week 10.
Are they week 10 or week 11 bye? I got the W over the Eagles, man.
Okay.
I think that winning in a weird environment is more suited to the Packers than it is the Eagles. I think they're cleaner between the ears, and I think they're more whatever coach says. Yes, coach. Yes, Jordan. Yes, they like. I just think they're more laser focused.
I agree with that, but I also think that like this game 1 kind of has to be like a Super Bowl for the Eagles. Like You won 10 straight last year, then you dropped the back half of the season, and even in a game where you were heavily favored in the playoffs, you lost to the Bucks. If you don't win this game after adding Saquon and you improved your secondary, if you can't make that statement in prime time week 1, not only are you going to be like a little brother in the NFC to the Packers for the rest of the year, the division is the NFC East is going to be viewed like that as well. And like I know you said you had the Eagles winning that division. If they're going to win that division, that's a game they have to win, in my opinion.
East is going to be competitive. Maybe low wins, though, for what we see for division winners. But we'll see when we get there. I do have them rattling 4 wins in a row, though, for the Eagles, the Colts, the Titans, and the Vikings. I think he does lose to McVay and the Rams. In LA, I think it's a little tricky for them. But then they get right 2 games right after that. They beat the Cardinals, and then they beat the Texans. Now, dude, CJ Stroud's yapping. I'm going to talk about it even more when we get to the Texans, but I do think the Texans are that team. They're going to take the best shot in the AFC right now.
Going into this year, quarterback rankings, do you have Stroud above Love? That's one conversation. In the second part of the question,
not yet.
In a fantasy perspective, which guy would you put above? Is it still the same? Because I don't think it is.
Yeah, because I rely on the Packers ground game more than I rely on the Texans ground game, and I like that more for the Texans because I think the Texans know they can just gunsling on you whenever they want. And there may be times where he puts up 22 in the first half. He puts up 4 in the second half because they don't have to throw it. Dude, if he's still putting up 26 games in a game, because CJ Stroud's one of those dudes that I can actually see throwing 300 yards every fucking game.
Yeah.
Jordan Love can do that too. I don't think the Packers need to.
I don't think that Diggs is gonna. Diggs personnel wise is gonna drastically improve that offense. Numbers wise, I don't think that they're gonna be. I don't think the addition of Stephon Diggs is just automatically gonna make CJ Stroud throw for 5,000 yards. I actually think. I don't want to say opposite to your point because I actually think both of these teams are heavily going to be involved in the ground game, and I think this might be a better part of Joe Mixon's career, if you want me to be honest, with the Texans rather than the Bengals.
It certainly could because there's more of a threat on the outside there with, and again, it's not just because of Diggs, right? It's Nico Collins, and everyone knows now.
Yeah.
The story's that, like, Nico Collins is a bad man.
Yeah, Dell Schultz.
Everyone knows that Tank Dell has potential. Dalton Schultz is in there. Dude, they have a really, really good roster. I do think that CJ Stroud's going to elevate his game because the Texans are going to have a lot of competitive games this year, but it's going to be CJ Stroud that elevates them, and they're going to know that CJ Stroud's the guy. CJ Stroud wants to take him to where they want to go, but if it's not in the game plan for him, he's not going to be yapping. I also think Diggs is the biggest yapper of all time, but I think he's going to Houston, and I think he knows, dude, I can't be the reason that this team doesn't work out. CJ, I'm behind you. You need my opinion on stuff, whatever, because I think can be a decent locker room guy. I just don't think it was it for him in Buffalo. But I think when he looks at a guy like CJ Stroud, he's going to be in Texas. It's going to be nice and warm out there. He's not going to be depressed 10 out of 12 months of the year. Right? He's not in Buffalo, New York anymore. He's in Houston, Texas. I think he's going to be cleaner between the ears. And I think CJ Stroud just has this ability to get dudes to believe in him. Or not that Josh Allen doesn't, but for some reason Diggs didn't. I think CJ Stroud is just a different kind of mentality.
Okay.
Like, dude, he's...
Then Jordan Love, you're saying?
Then Jordan Love... Well, then Josh Allen compared to him. But
yeah, I was going to say, like...
Jordan Love's quieter, but also I kind of think they're on the same level of mentality, though. I think Jordan Love's right there with him.
I actually like Love's approach a little bit more because he's a little bit more resilient, I would say.
He's very...
But I also don't think, like, maybe he's declining the opportunities that C.J. Stroud is getting. But I also think it's going to be a lot easier for Jordan Love to stand out in the NFC and kind of be a little bit more on that pedestal than Stroud is, just because, look, I'm not predicting this, but if Anthony Richardson plays 17 games, he could be the best quarterback in that division this year. Like, I don't think that that's a crazy statement. Like, I'm not saying that that's going to be the case.
It's definitely spicy.
No, it is. Like I said, I don't think that that's definitely going to be the case. But if Aaron Rodgers has the year that you're talking about, if Tua throws for 200 yards less, he's still going to be viewed as a top quarterback in the NFL, right? We're just talking about one division. Burrow plays healthy. Lamar Jackson, like, there's a lot of AFC competition.
There is, and it's going to be very hard for him to stand out. I totally agree. But I also think CJ Stroud's just weirdly going to be, because if he's yapping like this, man, like
He better
he's going to be
back it up,
controversial.
man. He better back
He's
it
going to
up.
have one bad game. Everyone's going to run their mouth. You yapped your mouth all the way. All this bullshit. But I think he's the guy that's like, fuck you. Going out next game, throw for 350, 4 touchdowns, no picks on your ass, and going, who's talking now?
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a lot of pressure on them at the beginning of the year, but I think depending on how those first couple games for them, and we'll talk about that on the next set of schedule predictions because the AFC South is up next. I think that's when we'll kind of start to see things settle in a little bit more. But let's get back to the Packers. At the bye week, I have them being 5-4, and I actually have them winning 4 straight, dropping 1 game to Seattle week 15 and winning the rest of the season. So that's when things start to set in. Sorry, all right. Like the Packers are a little bit rocky to start the year, but very similar to last year. Like they figure it out in the second half of the season. Things start to come together a little bit more. A lot of new pieces, a lot of new communication, lingo, and things like that. And I feel like that's going to be a big difference. But win versus the Bears, the Niners, they're going to get right. They're going to beat the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. The Lions, week 14, that's Thursday Night Football. I want to say that's around Thanksgiving time, too. Like, that's going to be a really fun game to watch. Seahawks, I think, are going to be a good team, man. Like, I really do. And I think if this Seattle team can be the team I think that they can be, they think they can win 11, 12 games. Beating the Packers would be a lofty task. But I think it's very possible Sunday Night Football in Seattle. Very important part. In Seattle.
It's rocking in Seattle.
Monday Night Football versus the Saints, that's a win. At the Vikings, that's a win. And closing out versus the Bears. Come on, man. 12-5 record, 4-2 in the division for the Green Bay Packers on top.
Steve, I got them beating the Bears. I got them losing to the Niners in a close game. I got them beating the Dolphins, losing to the Lions, beating Seattle. Bullshit loss over the Saints. But getting 2 wins to end the season. Vikings and Bears finishing 12-5 on top of the division.
Wow.
So,
was that tough for you over the Lions?
yeah, dude, I tried every way to finagle this to make sure the Lions won, but I just
Couldn't.
trying to keep it real, brother. It's like, I don't want to say the Giants overperformed last year because I don't think they did. I still think that
Giants?
they're that. I'm sorry, the Lions overperformed last year because I don't think they did. I think they can get there again.
I think they could
But
be just that good of a team with not winning as many games.
They're not surprising anyone this year anymore,
Yeah,
though. The
yes.
story's out. Like, the Lions are fucking real
They
deal.
should be
Like, they're
a
good team.
solid 10-win football team. If they win more than that, it's not a surprise. If they win less than that, it's like, oh, shit, what was that Lions team actually?
Exactly. And let's just get right into it, Steve. Week 1, they beat the Chiefs week 1 last year. But they're going to drop the game to the Rams in week 1.
Got the same thing.
So I do think they just come out, and I think it's competitive. I think it's a highly contested game.
Stafford.
I just think Stafford's going to do it. I think they lost the playoff game, so I think they're going to go into Detroit, and I think they're going to win. And I think the crowd's going to be like, we still like you, Stafford.
Yeah.
Eminem will yap too, but I got them ripping 3 straight off before the bye, Steve. I got them beating the Bucks, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks to go 3-1 to start the season.
Same stretch.
So, beautiful. Let's just get right into it, too, then. Got them beating the Cowboys in Dallas. I think they go in there and they get their revenge for that fucking screw job that happened last year. So, I think they're going to get that win. They are going to drop the game in Minnesota to the Vikings, beat the Titans, and it's going to get scary because they're losing 2 in a row here, Steve.
Ooh.
They're losing in Green Bay, and they're losing at Houston. That's
Middle
how
of
we'll
the
go.
season.
And then, right in the middle of the season. So, go through week 10 for me.
Sure. I have them losing that game versus the Cowboys, but I actually have them going on a win streak all the way through week 11 to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay.
So really important games, really important stretch. You had your stretch happen a little bit earlier in the year. I actually think a team like the Lions, something that could hold them back in the second half of the season is, injury and how things might look there. But I want you to be able to, go over your next shed of games before I kind of see where the Lions drop off a little bit.
For sure. So I had them losing that 2-game stretch. I had them after the bye going 2-3 in the next 5, but they get a win against the Jags. They take an L at the Colts.
I have the same loss versus the
So
Colts.
I have it just being one of those games where, kind of like the Ravens, where they just get outplayed.
Yeah.
And it's going to look ugly.
Yeah.
I think it's going to look ugly. It's going to be a sad beatdown because I love the Lions, but Lou will be happy.
Yeah.
So we'll be
We'll
good.
get Lou in that week. He'll be happy. He'll be touching himself.
They're going to, I know. But they're going to finish real good here. They're going to, just like Lou,
Love
they're
you,
going to
Lou.
finish real good.
Yeah.
They're going to get a win against the Bears at home, win against the Packers at home. They're going to beat the Buffalo Bills at home, lose a fucking close but ugly-looking game against Chicago, in Chicago, but beat the Niners, beat the Vikings. They're going to finish 11-6 and be the 5 seed because the Packers got the 1 or 2 seed. We'll see how the rest shakes out.
Yeah, I got you. After that loss versus the Colts week 12 that we both talked about, have them beating the Bears Thursday Night Football week 13, actually have them dropping 3 straight. Packers, Bills, and I just feel like this was after the Bears won their 2 games in a row. I feel like they're a little bit hot. In the second half of the season where like the Lions are right about 9 wins right now, like I don't want to say that they get comfortable, but they can be a little complacent at that point in time. And like I talked about a little bit earlier, maybe injuries are really affecting this team at that point in time. But NFC statement game, Week 17, beating the 49ers, Monday Night Football. Huge W, sets the tone for the playoffs. Get a win Week 18 versus the Vikings. Also have the Lions going 11-6 with the 4-2 division record, and that kind of aligns a little bit more with the Bears and the Vikings and the records that that they really had. Twan, is there any part of you that thinks the Lions could really, they did overperform last year and like this is going to be a 7-win football team this year? I just feel like personnel-wise, camaraderie, the way that they played and played for each other, I just feel like that's too good of a well-rounded team to do so. I think defensively, where their flaws were, they just improved drastically.
They did, and that's the thing is they knew where they needed to get better, and they got better personnel-wise. Now, can they deliver? I think yes. I'm going to say yes. There's always a world in which injuries happen and things can get tricky, but I think injury-free. I think this team, you said it perfectly, the camaraderie, the way they play for each other. Like, when they go in there, it's everyone's like, I'm on Ross St. Brown, got paid, and he's up on the podium going, I got paid, but it's time for my man Jared Goff to get paid. Like, that's the way the Lions are. They're going to go, Gibbs, dude, he's the best sophomore year player. I don't care about Bijan. I don't care about Gibbs is the best guy. And then you're going to have the defense start going. Aiden Hutchinson will probably be like, dude, Rakestraw and was it Terry and Arnold?
Yeah,
Rakestraw and Terry and Arnold, man, they really helped anchor this defense. I'm going to say, like, yeah, we're playing good up front. Those guys on the back, they're really anchoring it down. With Branch from last year, love this team. Like, that's how they work. Campbell's laser focused. He may not be the best X's and O's coach, but I don't think there's a coach that has their players more emotionally invested in the game of football.
Dan Campbell does,
so
absolutely.
That's just how I see it. I think there's way too much positivity in that room for things to go awry, and if they start to go awry, I don't think they're going to check out. I don't think going awry. I think that they have the right guy to get them laser focused, and if they don't, Dan Campbell pulls a Bill Belichick. You need to get your fucking head out of your ass. You're sitting for 3 weeks until you realize that
you better be careful with that. Patricia was there, and people don't have too many good memories.
No, Patricia can literally kick rocks.
But I got some questions that we can kind of talk about a little bit more on like a fantasy perspective. Going into this year, would you rather have Jared Goff or Jordan Love as a fantasy quarterback, and do you think it's close either way? I think it's close.
I think it's close, but I'm going to go with Love.
Yeah?
I think the upside's there for Love. I think Goff can do a lot, but I think with the way that the Lions like to run the ball, even though I do think Josh Jacobs is going to be very prevalent, I think with the way the Lions run the football, with how good that offensive line is, you got to take that into consideration. You might have another 2 running backs with 1,000 yards.
All right, so this one I want to talk about like the running backs. It's kind of like a two-parter a little bit. Is there any part of you that thinks that Aaron Jones can be the best running back in this division this year? And the second part of this is comparing the backfield of Detroit, and obviously that's a committee, and then you got Josh Jacobs in Green Bay. In a fantasy perspective, I want you to talk about who would you prefer out of those 3 backs, and then the Aaron Jones question was separately.
It's not DeAndre Swift. It's not him for the Bears. So I'm going to go with Jacobs as the 1, strictly because now Gibbs is my 2.
Okay. So
Jones
that would mean
has so much potential, man. I don't know that I trust him to not get hurt.
Yeah.
Like every year it's 5 games missed here, 3 games missed here, and then 2 later in the year. 6 games missed. Like every year there's an injury with Aaron Jones. I can't trust it. For fantasy, I'm kind of checked out of it.
Where do you think he's going in draft? 5?
No.
Higher?
Yeah, I think I'm seeing
still 3.
3. Yeah, I say 3. Last year I think he went 2 in my. I think I took him in round 2 in my league.
I think he went higher last year. Yeah,
but I had like the last pick in the draft, coming back that way because I had 1 overall.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, I see him going 3, mid 3, something like that. If he gets the 4, he should take him.
Drafted higher than a Gibbs.
No, Gibbs is going to get drafted high, but I think Gibbs earned it. I think Gibbs is going to get drafted high, and I think that the pass potential's now I get it. Aaron Jones is a great receiving back, But I think year 2 for Gibbs, I think he's going to look really, really good.
Not concerned about Montgomery.
I am a little concerned about Montgomery, but again, I don't think it's going to be so much as like, I don't think they're going to you saw at the end of the season, they weren't only giving goal line touches to Montgomery at that point. Like, he got the dives up the middle on first down, but when they were with 1 yard left, I'm sorry, not first down, but when they were like second and goal from the 3, when they were second and goal from the 4, like, instead of just handing it to Montgomery twice in a row, they were running like the shovel out to Gibbs, and you can line him up in the slot too and stuff like that. So it doesn't concern me that much. There's always that concern with having another running back, but I think Gibbs is the perfect guy to be able to take on a role of a slot receiver when he needs to also, like Bijan-esque.
All right, wide receiver conversation before we wrap up this episode.
Amon.
What?
It's Amon-Ra.
That wasn't my question.
Oh, well. It's him anyway.
Do you think that, I want to know which of these 2 wide receivers in the NFC North do you think is going to have the better season? Jameson Williams or Rome Odunze?
I'm going to go Odunze.
Really? You're a big Williams guy.
I am a big Williams guy.
It can't be drastic.
Williams is going to be, it's not drastic, but like I can see Odunze being a little bit more consistent where he's like 13 points a game.
I feel like there's a lot to consider there because like Kmet, I would say Kmet, Allen, and Moore are all like targets above him.
Right, but then you have like the 2 running backs that'll take points for Detroit. You have Amon-Ra, you have Laporta. I think Odunze, just also being as young as he is, might gel with Caleb in a different way that some of the others might not. I'm going to go Odunze because I would rather a little bit more consistency in my lineup. I think he's going to get like 13 points every week, whereas like Jameson Williams is going to have weeks where he's going to put up 26. Yeah. I think he's going to have, a 75-yard bomb for a touchdown and then get 2 other like 30-yard catches.
Sure.
But I think he's also going to have weeks where he goes 1 catch for 15 yards and that's it. So I'm sick of seeing that in my lineup. I need a little bit more consistency. So I'm going to go Odunze, but it's by a hair.
All right. Last question. Jordan Addison, or Green Bay's top receiver in a fantasy perspective, which going into this year, we're assuming is Christian Watson, but it could very much be Dobbs.
Dude, I think Watson's 3. I'd put Reed above him too.
All right, so have you picked the Packer.
I'm going Green Bay. Whoever ends up number 1 for Green Bay, I would take over Addison.
Okay, really?
Yeah. And
I think Addison had a good year last year.
I think he had a really good year. I also think JJ was out for like 10 games.
Yeah.
So Addison is very good. But also I think it's more of a quarterback question to me too. It's like, dude, is McCarthy going to... Like, I don't think McCarthy's that good.
I know, but can Sam Darnold spread the ball out enough to 3 guys to like...
I don't know. I don't trust it. I don't trust it. I'm going to go with the 1 in Green Bay.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I'm going to go
whoever the hell it is.
Whoever it is. And I'm going to say it's Jaden Reed. That's where I'm going.
Cool. Love that. Well, this was the NFC North, guys. If you see videos over the weekend of 20 and some street meat in Boston, disregard that.
Yeah. You say pause around here.
No, we're excited for the Celtics parade that we get to celebrate another championship in Boston, even though I don't really celebrate many of the other ones.
I can't believe it's been a whopping 5 years since we got to go to the parade.
It's been so long. The Red Sox ones are lit, though. Like, I obviously don't go to the Patriots ones, but...
They're so good. I mean, sure, you're still from Boston. Just go.
No.
It's a good time. Just have a good time. Go wear a Giants jersey so you can get pelted with beer.
Right. Please. Imagine that one loser that went to a watch party in a Mavericks jersey. Like, what did you think? Like,
bum.
Yeah, legit bum.
Oh, my God. By the way, let me say this now because I haven't done any of the Celtics talk. I'm going to say it. Here's the thing about Luka Doncic, guys.
Talk to the people.
He's a great offensive player. He's a whiny bitch. And he is fat and out of shape. Now, I'm working on getting in shape. I'm trying to get
Stop.
But I'm not in the NBA. This dude is gassed after 10 minutes. And then you look at Jaylen Brown, you look at Jason Tatum, extremely well-conditioned. If they need to play 48 minutes, they can play 48 minutes. Luka Doncic is fat and out of shape. He plays one side of the ball, and he's exhausted after one shift. It's embarrassing.
I think he should have got more help.
He should have got more help, but you need to be more well-conditioned, dude. You can't go out there and be exhausted, and the only move you have after 20 minutes because you're so tired is foul baiting.
Yeah.
and then not going back on defense. Not that you play defense when you go back there anyway, but looking at the refs and begging for shit when you're the one initiating the contact. So, again, I'm going to get hate for this because people just blindly cover Luka and just whatever they want at pause. But it's just blasphemy to me that everyone goes crazy. Like, Luka is one of the best players in the league for sure, but people can't look at him and say that he's the best player in the series. He doesn't play the other side of the ball, and he has no cardio.
Absolutely.
That shit matters, guys, in athletic sports. You can look at the stat line all you want, and go Google Gaga for Luka Doncic. People go to the stat lines and go, dude, Tatum only had 13, 10, and 9. Well, what you're not seeing is the fact that he played impeccable defense and didn't let up a point. So,
Absolutely.
You want to talk about the best player in the series?
Rant of the Celtics.
I mean, we had the best too. So, go ahead, stomp on the logo again, Kyrie. You could only win a game in Dallas because, let's be real, the Celtics wanted to win at home because the Boston Garden is the best environment. Woo! Fuck you, Dallas Mavericks. Woo! That's it. Luka, you're fat, man. That's all. God.
The NFC North schedule predictions.
Oh, we were doing football, right?
Yeah. You guys know the deal. Peace, love, 5 stars, nothing less.